It's about that time. That was weird. There it is. Wouldn't be the final episode without some kind of like awkward. Oh, that was weird too. Yay. That's not. There we go. It would not be like the final live episode without something causing
4 years, and he still doesn't know how to do it.
Still can't do it right. So at the top of the show, typically we would do like the cold open. You wouldn't see us or anything. Very much want to appreciate every single person who has watched this show live over the past 4 years. Very excited for the direction the show is going to go from here on out. But we just wanted to say before we even start the show, appreciate every single person who liked, subscribed, commented. Even if you made like negative comments, we loved interacting with you if we did. I mean, knock it off, but we do love interacting with you.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay. Well, that being said, we very much appreciate y'all. And let's get the actual show started. What is going on, everyone? It is time for the tagline, the final live tagline. My name is Robert Adams.
I am Chris Adams.
That's right. This is the final live tagline, the show where the tagline is the title. I love that that's always been there for like the whole 4 years. Ever since we first started, that was like the tagline for the tagline the entire time.
It's perfect. Why would you change it?
Don't mess with perfection. Everything else could go like off the rails, haywire, whatnot, but
and usually does.
And it does. It will. Multiple times, usually. But at least that is perfection. I absolutely love it. So, yeah. So,
4 years, and he still can't do it.
Yeah. Let's knock out the YouTube things real quick. Streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. You have any issues, questions, comments, complaints, or if you are wanting to say bye to the live show officially, Streamlabs.com/cinefanatics is a good place to do it. Patreon.com/cinefanatics. We are still going to keep going. The channel isn't ending, just the live format of the tagline is. If you feel like that this channel is worthy of your support and you have the means to support us, please hop on the tier that is good for you. There's a $1 tier, there's a $5 tier. There's not much to choose from. It's real simple. Just whatever one you can afford that you think we are worth. We don't take offense to any of it. We will take the money, though. That would be great. Thank you. Anyways, $1 gets you access to the Discord. $5 gets you access to our monthly watch-alongs and trivia hangouts. That being said, tonight, after this tagline, will be our monthly movie watch-along. And according to the poll that we put out, the winner of tonight's watch-along is going to be Godzilla versus Kong. So,
which is handy because there's a sequel to this coming out in a few weeks, couple days, however long. And we all need to rewatch this one to get ready for it anyway.
Yeah, so that was very well done there. So that's going to be tonight, roughly 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. So if you are at that $5 tier, come join us. It's streaming on HBO Max. So, yeah, perfect time to hang out, chill, relax, watch a Big Monkey and Big Lizard movie.
Big Monkey.
So that is going to be tonight. The 27th of this month, Wednesday the 27th, is going to be our movie trivia hangout. I am writing the quiz this month that will allow our normal quiz master, Vernon, who absolutely loves Ghostbusters, to be able to play and participate. So come join us. We are doing Ghostbusters trivia.
Which is handy because
movies.
There's a Ghostbusters movie coming out in a couple weeks or days or however long. Yeah. So we all need to get ready for that anyway.
So that will be trivia over all 4 Ghostbuster movies so far. It does not include, was it Frozen Empire?
Frozen Empire. We will not have seen it yet when doing the trivia.
Actually, we would have, because it's coming out the week before.
We don't trust that everyone else will have seen it before doing the trivia, so therefore we will not be asking questions about it during the trivia.
Except, what's the title of the 4th, like, canon Ghostbusters movie?
Well, yeah.
I might throw some like general questions in there. Questions that you could answer even if you haven't seen the movie. Maybe. We'll see. But otherwise, that is going to be Wednesday the 27th, also 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. I don't know. Might change the time.
That
It
might
won't really matter anymore.
Yeah, that might shift given what our schedules are looking like on Wednesdays, which we will you'll know the time before we do it.
Yeah. So otherwise, make sure you subscribe and follow us, like the Cinefanatics, on social media here on YouTube, because typically I would give updates as to what we're doing on this show live on Wednesday nights, and we're not going to be doing that anymore. So I'm going to start posting updates like throughout the week, or I'll post like an update at the beginning of the week as to what the plan is for the entire week as far as Cinefanatics go. So make sure you're following us on all those social media places.
It'll also be here on the community tab on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I'll post it there as well. So
Discord,
as long as you're following us somewhere,
social media, just anywhere that you know where we are at, you will find what we are doing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say at some point, I know you don't have it necessarily written down here, but at some point we need to go over again for people to understand what is happening to the tagline and what it will look like.
Yeah, I was going to do that here in a minute.
Okay.
So upcoming shows. So today is Wednesday. We got Watch Along tonight. Tomorrow, I am contemplating going to see Love Lies Bleeding, because I've heard a lot of good things. It looks interesting. So I will probably go see that, and I will probably get a review. At the very least, I'll get an out of the theater reaction. I know I said I was going to do a full review for Imaginary, and I really didn't have that much more to say about that movie other than what was said in the out of the theater reaction. So it's like no real reason to post a full video about it.
Other than to attract more numbers on the YouTube.
Yeah, I might commit a little bit more to doing that, but we'll see. But yeah, I might go see Love Lies Bleeding tomorrow night. So there will be at least an out of the theater reaction to that if you are following, if I decide to go see it. Also, Friday the 15th. Oop, can't talk. Friday, March 15th at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. We are still doing live The Marquee. This Friday will be tier ranking MCU villains.
Woo.
So yeah, we're going to have, there's a huge list of villains from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we're going to be tier ranking. So come stop by for that. Should be a lot of fun. And yeah.
And that list is already posted up on Discord. If you're part of the Discord, you do have access to that list, and you can also start putting together your list, in which you can let us know on the Marquee Live what your tier ranking actually looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably also be doing audience polls on this one, maybe. Because I think, I'm committing to a lot there. It's 31 villains.
That's what I was gonna say. There's a lot that we're going to have to get through, so it depends on how quickly we can get through those.
There's a lot, but we're also like not fully talking about movies like we normally do, like full-on movies. So if I can get around to like maybe like pre-writing some like polls, so all I have to do is copy-paste, that might be the easiest. I don't like the YouTube poll format where you only can write 4 choices.
Yeah.
You have 6.
Well, so I'm wondering if, like, can we alleviate some of those possibly? Like, for example, when it comes time to talk about Davlen, we don't need to put the S tier on there. She's not going to go S tier. That's not happening.
You let everybody get a vote, an equal vote for all choices. If someone really loves Davlen, who happens to be watching, we need to let their voice be heard.
I guess.
Do things the right way, you know.
I don't know if I want someone watching us who would make Davlen S. Just kidding. Kidding.
You heard it here first. My brother hates women.
That's not what I said. What?
Canceled on the last show.
Hey, he's doing
Wrap
his
it up.
impression of
We did
Twitter.
well. We made it 4 years.
That's a good Twitter impression. That might be your best impression. That's up there with your Christopher Walken and your Patrick Warburton.
Hey, this man's opinions crazy.
You sounded just like Twitter. Anyways, so that is this coming Friday, tier ranking the Marquee. As far as what exactly is happening, if you're not familiar with why this is the last live tagline, there's a multitude of reasons why we're doing this. First and foremost, the easiest one is we need to play with the YouTube algorithm a little bit better than we have, and that will help get this channel noticed a little bit more. We're really good at getting subscribers to watch trailer reactions, which is fine, except I don't see really any of those subscribers coming back to these live shows and commenting and interacting or anything. So we need to do something that's going to play more to who's watching us. And it's not people watching our live shows.
As much as we love doing, all the different live shows and everything, one, Marquee makes the most sense to continue being live, but Tagline as it is a movie news show. Everybody else on YouTube who does movie content, they put out videos whenever news breaks. They don't do a whole weekly live news roundup. And for the most part, that's kind of more of the content, I think, generally that people are going to be looking for. They don't want to like hang out for an hour or whatever and just watch what we think is the most important news of the week to tell to you guys. They want to be able to click on a 10-minute video and find out what is our opinion on specific news stories, not all of that. So it's more beneficial to do the show whenever news drops, as you've seen probably many other movie channels do. Whenever there's big breaking news, they will do a video reacting to that news, telling you the news and reacting to it like as if they were reacting to a trailer. Same kind of thing, same kind of idea. That's going to keep us consistently putting out at least 1 or 2 videos per week on the channel, which should help with the algorithm and attracting more subscribers, attracting more views, all the things that matter for growth in the YouTube channel. So on top of that, also, it's easier to sit down and do a 10-minute video real quick, especially one that's like a trailer reaction type level of video where the editing is quick, easy, and can be thrown up onto the channel real quick so that he is not stressing over the edit of it. But at the same time, it's a lot easier than buckling down and trying to figure out working the schedule around, putting up a 1-hour live stream every single week. And there's other things coming up on Wednesdays that one or both of us may need to do in changing up. So it just makes sense to not have to commit to a live show every week at this time.
That's the other part of it, is it's just freeing up that time. Doing the live show, we don't get that many views on it, especially compared to like pre-recorded videos, like the trailer reactions, or like how I'm expecting like to do pre-recorded news segments. Yeah. Those are going to get a lot more views than just this. Kind of like what my brother was saying is like the big thing we're talking about tonight, Scream 7 and Oscars recap. We're not talking about that for probably another 45 to 50 minutes, probably at this rate.
Well, what about that?
Somewhere in there. But
25
people aren't going to want to sit here and watch a live show of us doing all of this stuff, waiting for us to get to the part that they clicked on the thumbnail for. So that's a part of it.
If we were in a position where one or both of us was able to do this more full time, then it would make sense to have a weekly live stream show, because at that point there would be a consistent amount of viewers justifying the live show format.
And that's a part of it also. We started this coming off of the heels of, say, like Collider Live or AMC Movie Talk or SCN Live. Basically, all of those shows are doing a live streaming. Let's talk about the news. Let's just goof around, BS a little bit. Let's just have some fun talking about movies and whatever. And we don't have the audience for that yet. We're over 2,000 subscribers, but again, kind of like what I was saying, a lot of those subscribers came from trailer reactions, and they're not coming to these live shows and interacting with everyone else in the chat. So, that's something that we will come back to this. So I'm not saying this is the end of Tagline Live altogether. I have a feeling it will be back, but we want to grow that viewer base first and make this actually work for people who would want to eventually come back. So it's going to take more subscribers. We need to see signs that people will come and watch this live. And then also there's a part of it that we probably need to wait till at least one of us is able to do this full time.
Yeah, I mean, it's the ETA on if when tagline comes back in a live format is probably no less than 2 years. So it's very easy to call this the last live tagline right now.
Yeah. And that's why I was like stressing on all social media. This is the last live. It's still coming back. It's going to be pre-recorded, but it's the last live for right now.
We're not going to ditch something as clever as the tagline. And like we said earlier, the tagline for the tagline. Yeah. Like that's gold stuff. You don't just let that fall to the wayside and not use it.
Anyways, so that is what's happening. Depending on what news, I know a lot of this is going to be depending on what news is happening. These little things like I read a news article right before going live. Zack Snyder's reacting to why people are saying negative things about Rebel Moon. Probably not going to do a video on something just a small like little soundbite. That would be something I would say for like Twitter, where I would respond to like the posts that I see on Twitter talking about that, rather than turning on a camera, lights and everything, and sitting down, having to clear time in both of our schedules just to be able to talk about one little thing that's going to take like 2 minutes.
No, stuff like the story tonight, with Nev Campbell coming back to Scream.
Mm-hmm.
That's a story that you do a whole video about.
Absolutely.
I don't know that you do a whole video about Batman 2 being pushed back.
No,
but
not necessarily.
You do that kind of stuff. I mean, Oscar stuff will obviously probably just make a full on. Oscar stuff will either just make a full-on individualized video just talking about that stuff, or we'll probably wrap that into what we do with the podcast in the future, because we will be doing more stuff with the podcast in the future. So that's going to be a thing too. But
yeah, and then also it just frees up our Wednesday nights. We do get asked about going to press screenings for movies, and a lot of them are going to be Wednesday night, the Wednesday before they start releasing them on Thursdays, which is before they officially release on Fridays.
Movie industry is weird, yo.
So yeah, it's kind of hard to be able to, like, I want to go to these press screenings because that will also help this channel, but it's hard to go to those when we have a weekly commitment to this live show. So
yeah. Anyway, that's the future of Tagline and what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, so one segment that is going to get unfortunately ditched from this was not a segment that we started out with. Unfortunately, I wish we did because I really liked it. But what movies have you watched this past week?
I've watched one. I have seen Sicario, and I watched it to kind of wrap up my generalized Denis Villeneuve watching. I know he's got Enemy, I think, is another one, and then people talk about Incendies. So those are two like you can view, but for the most part, his general filmography is like Sicario, Arrival, the two Dune movies, Blade Runner 2049, you know, these kinds of films, Prisoners, and I've seen all of these now. And Sicario is quite easily my least favorite of the bunch. It's got its moments. I think the ending of Sicario is probably the best part of the movie, but the whole of the movie is, for me, kind of dull. And that hurts me to say that because I love Denis Villeneuve. I think he's doing so much better with his movies now than Sicario, but I don't vibe with it. It's a government agencies going after after the cartel in Mexico, and okay, cool kind of thing, you know. There's not enough like dive more into the individualized characters who are part of, and obviously like Benicio del Toro, you get a lot more insight with his character, but for the most part the movie as a whole kind of loses me a little bit just based on plot. So still love Denis Villeneuve. Everything he's done since then has been fantastic, so still one of my favorite directors out there right now.
I think like a lot of his stuff that I've seen has been like hit or miss. I liked Arrival, wasn't a big fan of 2049.
That's weird to me because the 2049, the storyline of that, I like that storyline better than I like Blade Runner.
I don't even remember what the storyline was. Like I saw it and I don't remember. So, Dune, the first Dune, I had to rewatch before I really started appreciating it. Dune 2, I liked. That was really good. Prisoners, I know I saw it, but I remember it being good, but just being really slow.
It's methodical. Might be a word.
So I might need to revisit that one, and then I need to watch Sicario.
It's good, but it's definitely Prisoners are definitely rough in places.
Yeah. Anyways, for me for this past week, I did watch that Ricky Stenicki. Just it looked like it might be a funny premise. So I was like, yeah, I got nothing else to do right now. I'll watch that, and it was decent. Like, it's not the best movie, but it's nowhere near like one of these like goofy R-rated comedy movies that's just trying too hard that everyone's just completely talking down about. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it, so I do recommend that. Watch Manhunter, which is the original version of Red Dragon, the Hannibal Lecter movie. This one was the original one that had Brian Cox as Hannibal Lecter, which is wild. It is like, I'm used to Brian Cox and his personality, his voice, his character, and hearing him being referred to as Hannibal Lecter with a K for some reason. That was, it was like Lekkator or Lektor, whatever.
So
but hearing him as Hannibal Lecter, I was like, that's just strange. But it was a good movie. Like, I think the music, the melodrama of it worked very well. I had fun with it, so I do highly recommend that. And then I went and saw Imaginary, PG-13 horror movie. It's good if you're not like into horror movies and you want a movie that you could possibly tolerate. It's good for that. The lighting is off in some places. There's a lot of darkness on it, and it's kind of hard to see in some cases. In some cases, specifically, it's hard to see some characters because just everything is just so dark. So, and you're needing to see like facial features, and you just can't see them. So, yeah, that I had a problem with. So, otherwise, it's not the worst PG-13 horror movie, but it's nowhere near the best.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's it for all I watched brand new this past week.
Well, there we go.
I do believe that from what I've seen on the internet, we're supposed to get a trailer, the first trailer for the Crow remake tomorrow.
So I've never seen the original, so
the original's good, but it can get bloody. Yeah. But yeah, I like the original, so I'm kind of eager to see what this, even though we saw that picture of Bill Skarsgård as Eric Draven, and he basically looked like the Joker from Suicide Squad. So, don't know how he had like the face tattoos and stuff, and I don't know. So maybe the trailer will look a little bit different. We'll see a lot more of his character personality. So,
tell me, do you caw?
Yeah,
you will.
Wow. Anyways, let's get into movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen,
good evening. This is what's happening in your world tonight.
We apologize for the interruption.
Back to you.
Couldn't get the drink in quick enough, could you?
Couldn't. No. Well, I was delayed. I waited till we were about halfway through that video. I was like, you know what? I could take a drink right now.
4 years.
Still can't do this right.
Still can't drink when the video is playing on the screen.
We started this March of 2020, right when the entire country was going to shit.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. I wish I could remember what the box office looked like then. I think Birds of Prey was out. Bad Boys for Life was happening somewhere around there.
Bloodshot.
Oh, is that that was the Vin Diesel?
I forgot
that movie. I forgot
that was the last movie we saw in the theater too.
That was the last movie we saw in the theater before the pandemic hit. That's nuts. I forgot completely about that movie.
And then what was the first one we saw? Was it was either New Mutants or Tenet?
Oh, I would say The Way Back was out during that time too. Tenet. I think it was Tenet.
Yeah, I forgot about The Way Back. So The Way Back where Ben Affleck had that glorious beard. Yeah. And that's what prompted me to grow this, and I just haven't shaved it in 4 years.
And then we've got the First Class League, which happened in that time, which my mouth ran and ended up prompting me to grow this, and I still haven't shaved this in that time. So
couldn't get the FCL champion to get you to shave your facial hair, huh?
No, someday I might. Who knows? It's been working for me though, so we're gonna keep it for now. Anyway, let's talk about the box office, because this is gonna be the last time we do this. So box office, we might do like a TikTok. Well, maybe we'll do a TikTok. We'll see.
Maybe we'll do too. Who knows?
TikTok still is around. At the very least, we'll do maybe like a YouTube short running through the top 10. Let's see if I can run through a top 10 in 1 minute on a YouTube short.
I'm still trying to figure out like exactly the format of what I want to do on my personal TikTok, but I have a feeling that might be taken away from me, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore, which, I mean, cool. One less thing on my plate.
We'll see what happens. Anyways, I might do like a 2-minute video or something. I don't know. We'll see. The box office will probably come back at some point in some format on this channel. But for this time around, can we guess what the number one movie in the box office is this week?
Well, so Imaginary came out. What else came out with Imaginary?
Well, keep in mind that Dune Part 2 is killing it right now and came out last week.
What was the other movie that came out with Imaginary?
Kung Fu Panda 4.
Oh, that's right. So I mean, obviously, I would probably say Dune Part 2 is number one, with Kung Fu Panda 4 probably right behind it. Although there is a chance, I believe there might be a chance that Kung Fu Panda 4 took number one with Dune right behind it.
Yeah. So number one in the box office this week is Kung Fu Panda 4.
And number 2 is Dune.
And number 2 is Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda made about $58 million in the domestic box office this last weekend, which is crazy. People love Kung Fu Panda, I guess, but I know a lot of people were kind of down about this one. I mean, worldwide, almost hitting 100 million so far, so that's not too bad for Kung Fu Panda. Opening weekend, not too bad. But Dune Part 2 raked in another $46.2 million this last weekend. So, you know, families were going to go see Kung Fu Panda, and then everybody else who wanted to see Dune 2 for the 17th time went to go see Dune 2 for the 17th time.
Mm-hmm.
Not doing too bad. Let's look at the domestic total right now. Domestic total for Dune Part 2 at the moment is $167.3 million. So that's fantastic. I want to say the budget was close to 200 million, if not somewhere between the 150 to 200 million range. It's easily making its budget back, for sure. Worldwide box office for it right now is sitting at about $380 million. So worldwide Dune 2 is banging.
Probably after marketing, it's probably about to break even pretty soon.
Yeah, and it's only in its second week in its box office run, so that movie's is going to have legs for a while. It's going to hang out there for a while.
Got legs for days. Wait, that's not where you use that phrase.
Dune 2's got legs and they're sand walking, so that the worms don't pop up.
Kind of hard to imitate sand walking when you can only see from like here down or from here up.
Yeah. So expect Dune Part 2 to make literally all of the money. Number 3 is Imaginary, opening to about 10 million.
Interesting.
Small
huge
number.
Drop between 2 and 3.
Yeah, big old drop. You know, it's about $30 million or so, $35 million. I imagine that movie, like most horror movies of its caliber, doesn't have too high of a budget, and so 10 million in its opening is probably what Lionsgate is looking at, going, nice, Imaginary 2 happening.
Please no.
Number 4 is Cabrini by Angel Studios. So there's an Angel Studios release. I think John Lithgow is in that. So
interesting.
I think I've seen like ads or whatever online for it. But
at this point, I thought like every Angel Studios movie was just going to star either Kirk Cameron or his sister,
or at this point, Mark Wahlberg.
Or Mark Wahlberg. What? Why?
Yeah. Yep.
I was specifically talking about the Cameron demographics. Kurt
Yeah, well,
Candace.
Mark Wahlberg too. Anyway, number 5 is Bob Marley, One Love. Number 6 is Ordinary Angels. And making its way down the list slowly but surely at number 7 is Madam Web. We're not going to have Tagline anymore live. We can't be watching where Madam Web falls on the list. Darn it. It's okay. It'll probably be out of the top 10 next week anyway.
Angel Studios movies star a QR code to buy extra tickets to shows you won't go to.
Funny. Number 8 is Migration. That duck movie is still hanging out in the top 10 after 12 weeks. That's crazy.
Is Wonka still on there?
Wonka is not. Number 9 is YOLO. I don't know what that is, but
You only live once.
I wanted to say it like that. YOLO. After an argument with younger sister, Li Ying moves out on her own. She meets a boxing trainer and starts boxing. There you go.
I mean, that's a reason to YOLO if I ever heard one.
It's a Sony release. There you go. And then number 10 is The Chosen Season 4 episode 7. Who cares? Number 11 is Wonka.
So I know Wonka's apparently now available on Max.
It is on Max, and the whole menu of Max is decked out in Wonka chocolates and stuff. I found out the other night when I was scrolling, trying to find something to watch.
Well, we'll also see that tonight because we will be streaming Godzilla vs. Kong for our watch along from Max. So make sure you hop on the Patreon at the $5 tier if you're not already to join us tonight at 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern.
Exactly. Anyway, that is your final top 10 box office top 10 on the Tagline. 4 years, and we end with Kung Fu Panda 4.
And Madam Web is still in the top 10.
And Madam Web is still in the top 10.
Wow. Anyways, quickie news. Let's go through some of these like little quickie shorts.
Give me a quickie.
Not something I wanted to hear my brother say to me, but okay. Apparently Patty Jenkins is back on to direct Rogue Squadron.
Yes.
She was saying that there was a deal that was being made before the strikes, and I guess they closed it right before the strikes, but for some reason they waited till now to actually make the announcement. She was going to move on from Rogue Squadron to go do Wonder Woman 3, but then DC was doing its weird thing, and now she's back to do Rogue Squadron again. So
she was also supposed to do like a Cleopatra movie at some point.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to that.
I don't know.
Because that was going to star like Gal Gadot as Cleopatra, I think.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't know. It's a step up from Elizabeth Taylor is all I know.
So at least closer to proper demographic.
Yeah.
Ethnicity.
So, although I don't know she's Gal Gadot is Israeli.
Yeah.
Which I know, I mean, that's in the Middle East area.
Egypt is in Africa. So
yeah. So, but it's right outside like that Middle East region. So, I mean, maybe, but also I'm kind of thinking that if it's the wrong ethnicity for like, say, a white person to play Cleopatra, it's still going to be the wrong ethnicity for any other ethnicity to play it if it's not like Egyptian. Although I don't know, I can't remember if Cleopatra actually was Egyptian.
I don't know my history.
Yeah. That's why I go watch those movies to teach me that history.
I don't
have to Wikipedia everything.
Really kind of countering the quickie nature here. Patty Jenkins as coming back in Rogue Squadron. Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So
happy for that.
Venom 3. Sony has officially announced it's titled Venom: The Last Dance.
Woo.
Is that the last dance just for Venom, or is that the last dance for all of the Sony Spider-Man movies altogether?
Yeah, probably. We'll see. They haven't recanceled that El Muerto movie yet.
Oh no, they did. They're just not going to announce it, and we're all just going to forget about it.
Very likely, actually.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
No. Listen, Craven. If Craven fails, which we're predicting it probably will. And Venom 3 underperforms, which we're predicting it probably will. Yeah, that's probably that feels like it's gonna wrap it up for all the Sony Spider-Man property things. So yeah,
we can only hope.
The Last Dance, though, huh? It's I feel like they're trying to be Deadpool here with it.
Wasn't that like the name of like the last Magic Mike movie also? Wasn't like The Last Dance or Havana Nights or XXXL or I don't know.
Havana Nights, nice.
That was Terry dancing.
Yeah, yeah, it feels like they're trying to be like a Deadpool thing with The Last Dance as its subtitle. Like it's that kind of style of humor that Deadpool would normally have.
If Venom's not narrating the story like Michael Jordan, I'll be disappointed.
Nice.
I bet you're wondering how I got here.
I had a lot of people to eat.
Venom's going to take over Michael Jordan. That's funny. Let's see. Next one. Batman 2 pushed back to 2026. This is... every time we talk about these Batman movies, I feel like I'm always like setting people up for the hottest take on the internet. I don't care about this movie. I am so tired of Batman movies. Get your DC movie universe correct first, and then make me want to care about I love Batman. I absolutely adore the character of Batman, but I don't care about any more of these movies. Make me care first, and then I'll be interested.
The hard thing for me is that The Batman is a good movie. It is actually a good movie. It's a good Batman movie. It's a well-told story. I'm locked in throughout the entire thing. Robert Pattinson did a fantastic job. I do actually like pretty much everything about that movie. But we live in an age now where these comic book heroes are part of larger universes, and knowing full well they're going to do Batman Brave and the Bold as a Batman movie attached to the DCU, and it's not going to be Robert Pattinson because we know that James Gunn has said the Batman exists as an Elseworlds story. I have a hard time wanting to stay invested in that version of Batman, especially because we're talking about, okay, we're doing a more grounded take on Batman. We've done a grounded take on Batman. We did 3 grounded takes on Batman, and they exist in a wonderful trilogy of movies that Christopher Nolan directed. So when you're talking about the Batman 2 got delayed to 2026...
I already wasn't caring. Now you're going to delay my not caring another year.
It does lose me a little bit. It does. I understand the reasonings and everything. Like Mike Deacon pointed out in the chat, part of it is a lack of sets. Part of it is the script. There's a lot of different reasons why it got delayed. But I think it's odd. I do think it's odd that they're still pushing forward in that when WB canceled the Superman show with Tyler Hoechlin. They ended the Superman show with Tyler Hoechlin because they didn't want confusion. They didn't want brand confusion. WB's been known to do this before. They didn't want the brand confusion with the Superman that's going to be in the universe they have with the next Superman movie coming out.
So let's be fair to Marvel. Marvel has also done that over the years. Best example I could think of is the Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s didn't have Sandman or Electro in it because they were planning on using them in the James Cameron directed Spider-Man movie that was supposed to be coming out during the 90s.
Yeah, let's see. And that's weird.
Although they did put Electro like in the second to last season. When they were like, oh, we're not actually going to make that movie. Okay, we can put Electro in the cartoon then.
Yeah. But I think it's weird that they're doing that with Superman, but they're still okay with another Batman movie that features the Batman character in a movie happening the same time or around the same time that they're working on or trying to plan on working on another Batman movie that features a different character or different actor playing Batman in a movie. And it's not a TV show versus a movie. It's a movie versus a movie. Like it's the line money. Of the logic of reasoning is I feel like is backwards over at WB.
It's money. If it was a Batman TV show, like if Gotham was still going on, I guarantee Gotham would probably get canceled because a Batman movie is coming out.
Probably. Either way, I'm just not super, despite the fact that I really like the Batman, I think it's a really good movie. I'm not going to cry if they didn't make a sequel to it.
Yeah.
If it just ends up being like a one-off tale on its own, I would be like, oh, okay. Just like if they weren't making the sequel to the Joker, I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And then finally, last little quickie. Sony apparently is not happy with Dakota Johnson. Gee, I wonder why. So Sony's basically come out saying that they feel like that Dakota Johnson has not been promoting Madam Web the way that they had hoped. And she's made like comments and remarks, and they're saying that this isn't going to help her out in the future.
Shut up. She's going to be just fine.
I was trying to think of like what's a good like comparison or like a simile to this. I'm not going to say like any particular names, but like let's say you're a bad guy that is in charge of a second world war and you're blaming your underling for causing the possible loss of the war because he criticized you, instead of realizing that you're the villain the entire time and you're causing your own problems. Everyone's following that analogy.
I'm not, but sure.
Okay. Villain of a second world war. We got it. We know who I'm talking about, right? I don't have to say the name.
Big old bag of douche that nobody likes.
Correct. That not a single person should ever admit to liking in their entire life.
Right.
And that person, that leader is blaming their subordinate for causing them to lose the war because that subordinate wasn't listening to the leader.
Are you quoting a movie here, or are you talking about actual history?
I'm making an example. I'm making this up.
This really worked well, and I'm glad you did it.
I'm glad I did too.
The point of the thing here at the end of the day is that Sony is blaming Dakota Johnson and saying that the movie is like her fault and everything, and what went wrong with it was like her fault, and then like her promotion for the movie is bad, and it's like, no, Sony, her being kind of blasé about the movie that she starred in probably actually put more butts in the seats than you were ever going to get for this film. So you should actually be thanking her for having such an entertaining press round. And I think she's going to be just fine, because if you've seen Bad Times at the El Royale or Cha Cha Real Smooth, you'll know that she's a fantastic actress.
Pretty much anything she's in.
I'm not talking about those other that other series of movies, because I haven't seen those and probably won't watch them. But Dakota Johnson as a whole is actually a great actress, and she's going to be just fine. Meanwhile, Sony, your Spider-Man universe movies are just bad. They're just bad. And you need to own up to that. You need to own it. You need to recognize that, and just know.
Stop blaming other people for your problems.
They're bad.
They're bad.
You made a bad movie.
You hired good actresses to be in bad movies.
You made a bad movie.
I also like the fact that like the articles and reports that I've been reading about this are like, oh, Sony doesn't have any problem with Sydney Sweeney and her comment that she made on SNL.
It's a bad movie. It's not good.
Yeah. So yeah, stop it. Bad Sony.
Cut it out.
Anyways, yeah, they didn't criticize Sydney Sweeney for dumping on SNL.
Which that was a very funny comment. You'll recognize me from Anyone But You or Euphoria. What you won't recognize me from is Madam Web. I was definitely not in that.
So, moving on. Speaking about production studios shooting themselves in the foot, let's talk about this one of two main topics tonight. Now that we're 45 minutes later. We're actually like 30 minutes
That's what
later.
I said earlier, 25 to 30 minutes when we were talking about it.
Yeah. So yesterday it was revealed that Neve Campbell has signed back on for Scream 7. And Kevin Williamson, the writer of the original Scream movie, is signing on to directing it.
And we all know that this is on the wake of them having let go Melissa Barrera for her comments that she made on social media. Wanting people to not die. Just general, like, we should care about humans not dying type comments. But no, she needs to be let go for that. And then Spyglass was like, hey, you know what? It's going to be okay. We'll get Nev Campbell back.
Now that we're not paying Melissa Barrera, let's go put that money towards Nev Campbell.
Which we've back on Scream 6, they already weren't giving Nev Campbell the money that she wanted or was asking for or should have been getting paid for. And so she, walked from that one. And so I don't think any of us were predicting that they were going to give her the right amount of money to come back, or that B, she would be okay with coming back in the wake of what happened with Melissa Barrera.
There's a couple of angles of issues that I have with this. One, and like, this is just speculation from my viewpoint. Obviously, we don't know any of these people personally and any of the conversations that they may have had that are not public. I'll touch upon some of those here in a minute because I've thought about those as well, but just pure speculation. If I was Nev Campbell and I was basically told that my value to the Scream series is not worth the amount of money that I should be paid to be in Scream 6, so therefore they basically said, well, bye, we don't need you, I would first of all have a hard time coming back. You do something like that to me, Nev Campbell definitely deserves what she feels like her value is to that series. She's is the focal point of that entire series.
She's the non-ghost face of Scream.
Yeah. So when she publicly said she's not going to be in Scream 6 because she feels that her value to that is worth more than what they were offering to pay her, absolutely. That is a situation where the leverage of it, she has that leverage. She has that right. Now, granted, they still made the movie without her. I think Scream 6 was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I would have liked Nev Campbell in there, but there's also a part of that, like, I was okay with Nev Campbell not being in that movie and it focusing on the core 4 survivors of the previous movie. That I like. It was okay. But that was kind of a slap in the face for the studio to Nev Campbell. And so I feel if it was me, I would probably have a hard time wanting to come back for Scream 7 after dealing with all of that. Like, oh, now you feel like that I'm worth it. Now that you fired your other star, now you come crawling back to me and you want to give me all the monies in the world. I would have a problem with that just from, I forgot what the word is.
It feels like it's a little, like, it's just bad. It's just bad. It's just a bad look.
Yeah. And so that's one side of it. Now the second side of it is
condescending.
Yeah. The second side of this is it looks bad on Nev Campbell for not sticking up for the co-star. For Melissa Barrera, again, she didn't say anything bad. She was in support of, hey, let's not kill people. Let's stop this. She didn't say anything hateful. She didn't incite any kind of violence or hate speech or anything. And she was let go just because she made comments. This is kind of the same thing with what's-his-face on the Oscars, which we'll talk about here a little bit more. But he was giving his opinion using his awards acceptance speech as his podium. He was giving his thoughts on it. And out of all the speeches given that night, that's the one that didn't show up on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, like, these people are saying positive things, but you're canceling them as well, or trying to, when there was no reason. Like, I am all in support of helping people not have cancer anymore. And then I get canceled because I'm saying something that's supporting positivity.
Yeah.
So that, and that's the part of it where I'm saying, like, I don't know Nev Campbell personally, so I don't know exactly what's going through her head, but just as an outside source looking in at this, I feel like it looks bad on her for not sticking up with her fellow actors. Now, this thing behind closed doors is we don't know. I think I could have heard something, but we don't know if maybe she did sit down with Melissa Barrera and she got Melissa Barrera's blessing on it. Like, hey, I'm fine. I know Melissa Barrera has said that she's gotten closure over this whole Scream incident and she's moving on emotionally. Maybe the two of them sat down and Melissa Barrera is like, you know what? Go do it. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. Please go back to Scream.
In that regard, you would want them to say something publicly because I think a lot of people would chill out on Neve Campbell if she said, I talked to Melissa Barrera. She gave me her blessing to go ahead and do it. And Melissa Barrera was like, yes, I talked to Neve Campbell. She's good to go. Mm-hmm. Y'all get off her case. It's okay. In which case, I think a lot of people would still be very upset with Spyglass. They'd still probably not want to see the movie out of spite to Spyglass. But at least we know on that end, we could think highly of Neve Campbell.
As of right now, I like I said on Twitter, I absolutely love the Scream franchise. It's one of the few franchises that while there's some movies that aren't as good as the others, that franchise as a whole, pretty solid. Like Child's Play, the Child's Play Chucky franchise on the whole, pretty solid. Not many horror movies are able to do that. Nightmare on Elm Street has some really bad ones. Friday the 13th has some really bad ones. Halloween has some super really bad ones. Your major horror franchises, you just don't get that kind of positivity out of. So while I'm a huge fan of Scream, I respect the way the studios are treating people, specifically their actors. I value that more. So if my fandom means I don't get to watch Scream 7 out of solidarity into just doing what's right, so be it.
I feel like we also need to be very very balanced with our criticism here too, because I don't see anyone online really talking about Kevin Williamson at all coming in to direct it. Mm-hmm. Even though we know that what was his name that was directing before?
Landon.
Yeah, he backed out because he didn't feel right being a part of it.
Yeah.
And so we don't all I'm seeing is flack against Neve Campbell. I'm not really seeing any flack against Kevin Williamson.
So the reason I'm not necessarily focusing on that is, of course, you got Neve Campbell and Melissa Barrera are the actresses in the movie. Mm-hmm. Kevin Williamson is just a director. I do hold that on Kevin Williamson as well. And I think what the studio, what Spyglass is doing is like, hey, all this with Melissa Barrera, forget all that. Hey, looky here, we got Neve Campbell, and Kevin Williamson is going to direct. He hasn't directed a movie since Teaching Miss Tingle.
They're trying to put some shiny stuff on you to distract you from all the poo-poo.
Pretty, looky over here. No, they're still fucking up over here.
You still have not actually made up. And the thing is, at the end of the day, this movie is not going to get canceled. It's not. They're not going to take it off the books. Unless for some reason Neve Campbell decides to back out of it, which probably not going to happen at this point. This movie is going to happen. They're going to make it. It's going to be released. And knowing how the whole system works, people will go see it. People will go see it, and it will make money. And they will sit their butts in their seats like that, and they will go see the movie in the theater.
Nice timing.
Yeah. But I think you also are currently dealing with a lot of people who have been very vocal online who are like, no, I'm not going to go see that movie. Hey, look, it's Lola.
So it's the final time of Lola on a live tagline.
There she is. Anyway, I've seen a lot of people that we know in the spread out throughout the industry who are like, we love Scream. I'm not going to go see Scream 7.
Yeah. Until they fix that, until they address it, and we get some form of closure. Either they bring back Melissa Barrera, or Melissa Barrera is like, yep, I don't want to be a part of it anymore. Until we get something like that, I'm not really interested in seeing this next Scream movie.
And what's crazy is at the end of the day, again, like I've only seen the first Scream. I have not kept up with the franchise as a whole, but I did see the last bit of the end of Scream 6. And from what I know story-wise and from what I saw in that clip, that looked like a really solid ending for her character, for her and
Jenna
Ortega's characters. That looked like a nice solid little ending right there.
Mm-hmm. I could see that being the end of their character arc, but
for me, what I would do is I would just call it a day, sell Scream off to another studio, say like, we're done with Scream, we made our money from it, let some other studio pick it up and reboot the whole franchise later on with new characters, new everything, probably still keeping Ghostface, but just reboot the entire thing years down the road where it's far removed from this and has absolutely nothing to do with these storylines that have been present and running so far. That's what I would have done at this point, but
yeah. Except Spyglass is looking at people with like our opinions as we're just a drop in the bucket of the entire whole. Who cares what we think? It doesn't actually matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to hurt them. They're going to continue on doing how they want to do it. It's just a matter of everyone's voice needs to be louder than what they think their voice is.
it's true because like the general public is going to, at the end of the day, look at the marquee on the movies and see Scream up there, and they're going to go, "Oh, yeah, I know that franchise. I'll go see that movie."
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to make their money from those people. Those people are not going to know any of the drama that happened behind the scenes. They're just going to see Scream, and they're just going to go, "Tickets to Scream, please."
Yeah. Reboot as Stab. That would be great. Just start the Stab franchise over.
Right.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to hear a lot more about this in the coming days. Like when this news was announced yesterday, my first thought was like, well, I know what we're talking about on Tagline tomorrow night. But I was also expecting to hear maybe a little bit more, like maybe get some actual confirmation if Neve Campbell and Marissa Barrera did have that have a conversation and she had the blessing. Maybe that would have been revealed today. Or more on like kind of what you were saying, more towards, well, what does Kevin Williamson think of all this? Let's get his opinion. Like, I want to hear about this situation. Now, don't try to get me to like, look over here with the shiny Neve Campbell and Kevin Williamson. Like, actually address the Melissa Barrera in the room. I don't mean that to sound like I'm calling her an elephant, but
you didn't even use the word elephant until just now.
Or the Melissa Barrera not in the room would actually be the more appropriate. But yeah, I'm not happy about this. I like, even though I'm a very cynical type of person, I think people come first. They need to be treated correctly first before the studios get their way with whatever it is they're doing.
True.
And I want to see that happen. I have hope. I don't know why I have hope, but I do.
We love movies, but we love to love movies that are made properly and not at the expense of people.
Yeah. Let's. I don't know if you had anything else to add to that. I know, like, horror movie is not your forte, but
no.
But let's talk about the Oscars. Let's go through the recap of the Oscars. Sunday night we did our live watch along of the Oscars. Was a lot of fun. I would say, for the most part, another majorly uneventful show, kind of like the year before. There were a couple of things that really like kicked up on Twitter that I kind of wanted to talk about, like now after the fact, stuff that I was like, I don't see too much of an issue with that.
Yeah.
But apparently the rest of the world did. Jimmy Kimmel, I think Jimmy Kimmel is probably one of the best like Oscar hosts that we've had since Billy Crystal.
I find it weird that so many people are like down on Jimmy Kimmel. I was like, y'all realize we're talking about the same award season that had Joe Coy, right? And you're down on Jimmy Kimmel right now?
Well, to be honest, they were also down on Joe Coy. They were just down.
Yeah,
more,
no.
Not as much on.
I know, but what I'm saying is like, this is like a night and day difference here.
Yeah. Yeah, we said it, or I think you said it, like within the first few minutes of the Oscars, you're like, already so much better than Joe Coy.
Yeah.
Like we are like head and shoulders above Joe Coy, which, I mean, he's bald, so he probably doesn't use that shampoo, but I mean, anyways, beside the point. ADHD brain. Reeled it back in. Yes, I'm good. Well, so for the most part, a lot of the downside on Jimmy Kimmel, and I watch his monologue and stuff for Jimmy Kimmel Live before I go to bed typically every night. And he hasn't brought this up, and I'm going to guess that he's not going to, because I understand why. But a lot of people went after him about his joke on Robert Downey Jr., referencing Robert Downey Jr.'s past.
It's so ridiculous.
So we've all seen like the infamous interview that Robert Downey Jr. like got up and walked out on, because the interviewer was pressing Downey about his past. Mostly it was his past and his relationship with his father, but there were all questions about like, has he overcome his addiction? Does he think he's beyond and past that? And Robert Downey Jr. was like not having it. He got up, he left. He was like, this is getting a little too Diane Sawyer-y for my taste.
I'm on a press tour promoting a movie right now. Let's talk about the movie. We're not talking about me or my past. This is not 60 Minutes.
Which I believe, I know for the most part, whenever celebrities are doing those kinds of press interviews, they usually will have some kind of a document that says, hey, here's what we don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Like Sydney Sweeney was on one of the late night shows right before hosting SNL. They didn't ask her a single thing about Madam Web.
Yeah.
They talked about Anyone But You, and they talked about her next movie coming out that premiered at South by last night, Immaculate, which seemingly getting some pretty decent reviews, so I'm eager for that. But anyways, they didn't ask her about anything about Madam Web, and I'm willing to bet she probably had something on there. Hey, I'm willing to talk about anything except Madam Web. So keep that name out your mouth type of thing. Much. And it's a slap in the face. That's where I came up with that. Thanks, William.
It's just really weird that they're talking about the whole getting down on Jimmy Kimmel about the Robert Downey Jr. joke, because like, yeah, we've seen that interview, and in that situation, in that interview, yes, it makes sense that he doesn't want to be asked about that because he's on a press tour, essentially talking about a movie.
He probably just doesn't want to talk about it in general.
But yeah, and for the most part, probably doesn't usually want to talk about it. But we're at an Oscar program where he is probably the highly favored individual, and obviously post hindsight 2020, we now see that he has won the Oscar. But at that time, we assumed he was the highly favored individual to win the Best Supporting Actor, and so that being his first Oscar win, this was kind of a night of, hey, we know that he's probably going to get this. Let's take this moment to recognize where he came from so that we feel good about where he's at now. So that we all can like remark on where he's at now and how far he's come. And the thing about that is, in these situations, Robert Downey Jr. has been on Jimmy Kimmel's show countless times, like so many times for the Marvel movies, so many times for other movies. The two of them have a great professional, I would say probably friendship. I would argue that they have a form of a friendship of some sort at this point. And so I believe that Jimmy Kimmel knows the boundaries of what he can and cannot joke about in regards to someone like Robert Downey Jr. and his storied past. Knows what he can bring up and what he can't bring up. A lot of people are bringing this up, though, and saying that he shouldn't have done it based on Robert Downey Jr.'s reactions of like, it's on the nose. Let's keep going. The way I see it, Downey was just playing into the bit.
Yeah.
He was just playing like he's supposed to react like, hey, I don't want you to talk about my past. He's supposed to react like that. So he's playing into the bit of it all. And yeah. I think at the end of the day, if you feel like they didn't talk about it, or that Jimmy Kimmel didn't already know about what he could or could not joke about, you're being naive.
I understand in an interview, like an actual interview, yes, you don't talk about that. That's not the point of the interview. In just a side comment during a monologue of an award show, you're not trying to get Robert Downey Jr. to explain like his thoughts and feelings of his past. We all know Robert Downey Jr.'s past. It's public. Everyone knows about this. So what does it matter?
I feel like this is
trying to interview him. I don't need him to relive that emotion.
I feel like this was the putting the nail in the coffin on that. This was like the last joke that we need to make about Robert Downey Jr. because he won an Oscar that night. Yeah. He went from where he was in the past to I now have an award. I now have that statue that shows the validation of where I've come in my career. or that people hold up as the validation of where I've come in my career. You know, we have that. It just feels like you make that last joke as a sense of poignancy to who Robert Downey Jr. is as a person. Now it feels like if you make any more jokes about that in the future, it just feels unnecessary at that point.
Beating a dead horse type of.
Yeah, it just felt like a good, solid putting it to rest here kind of a joke.
I also have the opinion of this, like I was saying, this is public knowledge. We are all very aware of Robert Downey Jr.'s past history.
Yeah.
That's a part of who Robert Downey Jr. is. That is what everything that he's done, no matter how bad, has led him to the point that he is at now.
Yeah.
If he didn't want that brought up, then you step out of the public limelight.
Well, it
For
would also
example,
be very clear. It would also be very clear that he doesn't want it brought up everywhere.
No. But there's common sense. Everyone should have common sense on when you should and shouldn't talk about that. If he absolutely was afraid of everyone bringing it up, he would just disappear from public light. So I'll give you a good example. Years ago, I was arrested for shooting out a street lamp with a BB gun. It was so stupid. It was one of the dumbest things I've probably ever done in my life. Now I'm not a big celebrity like Robert Downey Jr. for some weird reason. I don't know why, but that's not public knowledge, but it could be. If someone was to make mention about that in a joke, hey, I'm choosing to be a public person on here. People are able to watch me right now. I don't know who a lot of people who could be watching this are. I do know some of you. Thank you. But there's a chance that people who I don't know could be watching this and they're learning something personal about me. If I was to get asked about it later, hey, I'm the one who's putting this out here. I'm the one who's choosing to stay in the public eye. That's fine. I'm okay with it. If I didn't want to talk about it, first of all, I wouldn't have brought it up. Second of all, I would disappear and you wouldn't see from me ever again. So those are also things that are going to happen in real life. If you don't want to talk about it, then you don't be a public figure.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think he's okay with it. I think everything was fine. I think people are just trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, and the only person who needs to have an actual reaction is Robert Downey Jr. If he's okay with it, everyone else is too.
Yeah, he doesn't need you people on the internet to defend him. He's a big boy. He can defend himself.
Yeah. So there was that issue. There was also the issue with John Cena. John Cena coming out naked, where a lot of people are saying this is the way Hollywood treats you. They need to humiliate you.
It's the Illuminati humiliation ritual is what a lot of people are saying. I'm like, you guys put your tinfoil damn hats away. Good, calm down.
Whatever happened to, being naked is funny. Especially and this is something that I've seen my entire life. Women naked.
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah. Women naked, gorgeous. We love it. We look at that as hey, that's beautiful. Men naked, that's pretty funny looking.
Yeah, anytime a woman's butt was in a movie, it was in a sexy fashion. But anytime a man's butt was in a movie, it's man butt's funny.
Yeah, male nudity is, if it's done right, it's funny. I think they did I thought it was a funny bit. I would have liked it if they would have made some kind of allusion to, well, he's naked, I can actually see him now.
Yeah. I can count so many movies that feature some dude in a hospital gown, and you see the shot of him going away, and you see the hospital gown flap open. Oh, there's his butt. Funny.
Was that Jim Carrey in Yes Man, where he's driving down the road on the Ducati?
I think they did that in that Welcome to Mooseport movie. I think
probably
that happened there. There's been so many different movies where that's happened, but
especially if it's an older actor who you wouldn't expect to see his butt in a movie. Oh yeah, we're gonna put his butt in a movie because it's gonna shock people.
Yeah, it's just generally funny. But yeah, in this situation, John Cena he's a fun-loving kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in the industry for so long now. He doesn't care about being humiliated. He knows what's expected of him in terms of the kind of actor he is and what he goes for and what he tries to do. He just likes to have fun, and I'm sure someone presented him with this idea and he was like, oh, that sounds hilarious. I'm on board. He's not being humiliated so that he can have approval from the Illuminati. He's doing a joke because the joke is funny.
Did you see the behind the scenes photos of what he actually was wearing?
Yeah. It was
so funny. The fact that it's flesh colored is weird.
Yeah, skin tone thing that cups in the front and flaps in the back.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing it had like an invisible wire or whatever connecting the two ends. But
they're usually, I believe, they're just glued to the body.
Gotcha.
So there's no wires or anything that could possibly show. Or
it's like he's not actually going to be naked in front of everybody. It's going to be close, but I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was just such a funny gag. Like they've done that in the past. The Oscars have always done like something funny with like either say like makeup. I remember the year where Ben Stiller came out with the Avatar.
Yeah.
Avatar blue face.
He's in blue face. That's offensive.
And that was like for like hair and makeup. And then now obviously this year we have costume with John Cena not wearing a damn thing.
That was making fun of the streaker from like 50 years ago, which I thought that was a funny nod. That was a nice way to bring that piece of history back up.
It was just a funny joke.
Yeah. I know there was like some people had issues with the in memoriam. First of all,
it felt like they were
I hate this. The fact that I didn't recognize that was Andrea Bocelli that was singing.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was him. I've seen him in person, and that man's voice, oh my God.
I felt like they were trying to cut that section short to save on time, or they knew that they could cut on that section to save on time. And I don't think they should. I saw someone
don't cut down if at all possible.
I saw someone on TikTok who had, I think like their father was a technical crew member who could have been seen in the in memoriam section at the Oscars. And she was sitting there watching the Oscars, just crying because she knew like he had died this past year. And so he could pop up there, but knowing full well, he's probably not going to. They're probably not going to give time to my father on that screen. And I don't even think his name popped up in the names. I think he's in the extended in memoriam section that you can go see on the website.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I watched her reaction. She was just like floored and just like, of course they didn't mention him. And she was just hysterical and just upset. And I was like, this is what you get. This is what you get when you add time for other jokes throughout the show, but take away from something that's very important, like honoring those who passed away this last year who worked in the industry. Like, I don't think you cut from that.
So I do remember like every year there was always the thing like what actors, what movie makers were left out of the in memoriam. There's always this huge thing the day after. Hey, we didn't talk about this person, this person, this person, or this person. And then it's lately over the past like 2 or 3 years, I want to say it's moved to, hey, you can see the full list of names on our website. So they're either directing you to go to the website, or now they've got it where you could scan the QR code that takes you to the website so you could see the list. I mean, that's better than them not acknowledging these people at all. Still a little weird.
I still don't like that.
Even worse, just having a screen just full of names like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of other people who died.
So I don't like the idea of driving traffic to a website for people's deaths.
No,
that doesn't seem right. And then I don't like the screen just full of names. I think you still put all those people's pictures up, but you can do like a screen that has like 6, 7, 8, 9 people on it at one time and just go between those every few seconds. Like that I don't think is dishonoring as just here's their name along with other names. Good luck finding it in this sea of names. I feel like that only adds just maybe a little bit more time, and it's far more honoring, I think.
I was not a big fan of the fact that the camera was like panning around to like the performers, the dancers, the musicians.
Put a guy on a piano.
Focus just on the in memoriam.
Put a guy on a piano, let him play, let him sing. That's it. No dancers. We don't need performative art. We just need the in memoriam section.
I seem to be doing this with our chat tonight. Is like I'm saying something the same time the chat is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I wasn't a big fan of that. I just want to like William Harold's saying, go full screen.
Yep.
Show us that you're honoring these people, and then move on with the show.
Yeah.
You can do a like, hey, this music is being done by so and so on piano. This
Lower
person
thirds.
singing. We maybe get like a few seconds of seeing them play the piano. We get to see the person sing, and then it just moves into the in memoriam. Can come back out of that video package back to the person playing the piano, back to the person singing, and then we're done with that segment. That's it. Yeah. That's what I want to see. That's how it should be.
That's it.
I don't care about looking at your dancers and all the great choreography that they practiced for the past week or so while we're supposed to be honoring the people who passed away.
We don't need choreography for this section. We don't need dancing. We don't need have someone sing, play piano. If there's no one present, play a music track over the video. Just play the video. That's it. Play the package.
My only other issue that I see like a lot of people also talking about, and like it's not, I guess, not that big of a deal. I'm pretty sure this is going to be fixed next year. The whole thing of not rereading the nominees for musical performance or specifically Best Picture, that was just weird. Al Pacino's delivery of that aside, I feel like it just takes the wind out of the sails. There's
my eyes see Oppenheimer.
Yeah, my eyes see Oppenheimer. And then like the whole audience is like dead silent, and then they're like,
"Oh, I guess Oppenheimer won."
Yeah, I guess we can clap. Yeah, we'll go ahead and clap. He said Oppenheimer. Yeah, like go through the entire list again.
Drunkachino.
Go through that list again, and then properly read the names like what has been done for the past 95 years. Like, there's no reason to change that. That wasn't broken. That was perfectly fine. Keep it like that.
I like, the best song having its moments throughout the show. I like the best picture being the different best picture nominees having being presented throughout the show, having little clips and everything, kind of giving us an insight into those best pictures, because that's the big award of the night. But also reread the names of them again, so that we can, it gives proper build up for everybody who's up for the award in the audience to prepare themselves for whether or not they're about to be called for the award. It gives them time to prepare and mentally, okay, I could be going up on stage right now. I need to get ready to have my speech, all that kind of stuff. And on top of that, it refreshes the audience on what exact movies are up for that award, because I don't remember what the first movie was that was up for Best Picture that was talked about in the night at the beginning of the show. The first one that they gave the clip to and everything. I don't know. I like hearing them all again, so I can, in my mind, okay, knowing what I know now based on the way the awards went for the rest of the show, I would say, yes, it's very clear that Oppenheimer is probably going to take the win here. And I think generally it just adds more suspense to the announcing of the award and gives more, and like I've said for other things, it gives more honor to and weight to that award by doing it that way. It gives more pomp and circumstance to it, and that's what you're looking for, not just I'm here to present Best Picture, and it's Oppenheimer, guys. The Best Picture is Oppenheimer.
Yeah, that was just that was so weird.
Dr. Phil gif.
Yeah. I don't want to end it like on the nitpicks and the complaints, so let's talk about some of the positives. I Am Ken.
Yep.
How many times have you watched that?
I don't know.
Lost count.
Many times.
Great performance.
I've even seen it
popping up all of and sudden. That was funny.
I've even seen it from different angles now, and that's thrilling.
Yeah, the fact that he went and interacted with like Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie, America Ferrera, and then turns around and also interacts with Emma Stone. That was funny. Yeah. Holds the hand of the cameraman, like,
which going from a different angles on that is fantastic. Freaking watching that camera operator holding the whole rig with one hand while his other hand is being held by Ryan Gosling and guided up the steps, which
I need to watch that angle. I haven't seen that.
That was insane. Like that rig looks heavy, and that guy's like beefing it, holding that thing.
Yeah. So definitely love that. As far as like the actual awards, Godzilla -1, that's great. Love best visual effects. Poor Things costume design and makeup and hairstyle. While we were thinking Barbie would be good, I also see why Poor Things got that. Oppenheimer got cinematography. Poor Things got production design. Zone of Interest got best sound, as I was saying during that. I can see why that got best sound. That was deserving. Best original song did go to Billie Eilish, as we were expecting.
Which, of the two songs, listen, I said that on the show, I'll say this again. That is the song that should have won.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the song that should have won. But the I'm Just Ken was the best musical performance we've ever seen in Oscar history.
Yeah.
And I am saying that knowing full well we've had, some pretty big superstars come through and give performances.
I can't remember if it was the Oscars. I think it was, but was it the 2000 Oscars, I believe, where they performed Blame Canada from South Park, and it was Robin Williams performing it. That was pretty good because they got like all the cast and everyone on stage, and they did like the full marching Blame Canada, and it was great. That one was hilarious. But that's the only other one I could think of off the top of my head. Is the other one that I would compare to it. They could have done it with Natu last year had they gotten the actual actors back and performed the full dance.
Could have, yeah. I do think that this could lead to Barbie being a great Broadway show, in which case, if the music is done, obviously in part by Mark Ronson, but also in part by Billie Eilish, that's how you get Billie Eilish to an EGOT.
Yeah.
Now that she's the youngest person ever to have been awarded 2 Oscars.
Yeah. Zone of Interest got Best International Feature Film, which makes sense because it was also the only one out of those that was also nominated for Best Picture. So it would make sense it would get the International Feature Film.
Was Anatomy of a Fall not international?
It is, but it's also co-done by the U.S. So I don't think it qualified for
international.
Not to mention, we don't need to be like nominating every single Sandra Hüller movie out there all at once.
Why not?
Oh, no, that was last year. Never mind. Best Animated Feature, Boy and the Heron. I know a lot of people were eager for Spider-Verse, but I mean, Studio Ghibli and Pixar are the ones who are going to be bringing it when it comes to that award. So
it's Miyazaki.
Yeah. American Fiction for Adapted Screenplay, great. Anatomy of a Fall, Best Original Screenplay. That was a great movie. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. Supporting Actress, Davine Joy Randolph. Absolutely love that. That was the way to start that show that evening. That was the beginning of that is exactly what they were wanting for that show. That was the proper beginning was what they were wanting for the proper ending the year that they ended the show by giving the Best Actor award to Anthony Hopkins and not posthumously to
Chadwick
Boseman.
Good job.
I was trying to do it for dramatic respect.
Yeah.
Not that I forgot his name.
The head bow was out of respect to Chadwick Boseman. Yeah, I got it totally.
Yeah.
The slamming the desk, all of it.
Best Supporting Actor, Robert Downey Jr. Finally, I believe I read that was his first Oscar win.
Yep,
and he deserved it. He's deserved Oscar nominations and wins for years.
There are people out there trying to say that he is the Jamie Lee Curtis of this year, that someone else deserved the supporting actor more than him, and I was like, no, and so that's incorrect. Robert Downey Jr. deserved the best supporting actor win for that role. Jamie Lee Curtis was not the best supporting actress in her own movie. And on top of that, you also had Angela Bassett.
And you also had Stephanie Sue was also nominated for the same movie. Stephanie Sue should have gotten it over Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
So I don't think there was a Jamie Lee Curtis moment, although the closest would be Best Actress, where Emma Stone got it over the favorite to win, Lily Gladstone. I do understand why Emma Stone got it, and I'm not going to fully say that that was a Jamie Lee Curtis moment. Emma Stone did deserve it as well. I was just really hoping it would go to Lily Gladstone more.
So are we going to call these things the Jamie Lee Curtis moment from now on?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how we're talking about this the next time we do a live tagline.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, best actor, Cillian Murphy. Yep, deserved.
100%.
I would have liked... I mean, I could have seen it gone to like Paul Giamatti, maybe Bradley Cooper, but yeah, Cillian Murphy deserved that.
Yeah.
Director and picture both went to Oppenheimer. Deserving. Very much
Christopher Nolan.
deserving.
Finally. Nolan finally getting an Oscar of how many Oscar caliber movies that man has made. One of my favorite directors of all time, finally getting his Oscar. Yeah. Love it. It's fantastic. And for Oppenheimer of all movies, that was actually a great choice of a film to finally award him the best director for.
Yep.
And best picture.
Yep. Anyways, yeah, I can't think of anything else Oscar wise.
Yeah, I mean, as a whole, decent show.
Oh, the dog wasn't actually there.
Yeah, that was funny. Messi wasn't actually there.
Yeah, so what was it? I think it was watching Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel Live on Monday night. He was talking about it like we couldn't actually have the dog there because like even in the rehearsals the dog would not shut up because it's a dog.
It's a dog.
So they're like, yeah, it was going to be kind of hard to have a dog like sitting there barking the entire show, especially during the in memoriam. Can't really have a dog barking randomly during that.
Dog's also not going to sit still in that seat for 3.5 hours.
No. So they pre-recorded that with like just sitting the dog in a chair and a group of people like right around the dog, so it looked like there was a crowd. And then of course there was the puppeteer with the fake dog arms.
Yeah.
Underneath, which I feel like that's the new like Justin Timberlake. The fake hands. So otherwise, yeah, I thought it was a good show. Pretty much everyone who I thought should won. So if I was a betting man, I would be probably pretty rich on this.
Except for the technical stuff that we were saying Barbie was probably going to take for sure. But then Poor Things kind of swooped in the last moment and said, nope, that's ours.
So you saw my opinion changed on that right after I saw Poor Things. I was like, ugh, I would like Barbie to get it, but I have a feeling a lot of those are probably going to go Poor Things. And I was right. Yep. So I could see why. But anyways, I think that is going to do it for this show. So in 30 minutes, we will be hanging out over on our Discord for our Patreon watch along of Godzilla versus Kong. So if you are not on the $5 tier, spend $5, hop on that tier, and come join us. Did you see that thing on Twitter with the Twitch person like complaining that people can't spend $5 or $10 on her?
No, I haven't watched that.
Oh my god,
I don't.
Yeah, she's basically like, it's $5. Y'all can afford it. If you
as someone who tries to stream on Twitch, I don't like to watch those things typically because they make me feel bad anytime I talk about donating to the stream, and I need to not feel bad because that's part of the job.
I will never feel bad, or like I will never make someone feel bad if they can't donate to us, to our show, to anything we're doing.
Absolutely.
If you are a member of our Patreon and then you decide you don't want to be on our Patreon anymore for whatever reason, you'll never hear from us. We don't need a reason why. I'm not trying to save a cell and act like a retention department.
What was the reason you decided to leave the Cinefanatics Patreon?
Yeah, and I've heard of people doing that too, and that's not a good way to entice people to come back, because
I understand why. The idea is that if it's something that you can prevent and it's something that you can stop from happening in the future, you want to know. But
yeah. Well, I mean, so for example, that's actually my job right now is I work for a company's retention department to keep people from canceling their service. I do have to ask, why are you canceling? What can we do better? Let me pitch you a couple of things that you may not have known about to keep your service. That's fine. That's what the company, the business, that's what they hired me to do. Sure. That's not how I'm going to run my Patreon.
Yeah, no. So,
much like you probably notice in all of our videos that we upload, I also don't put the mid-roll ads, even though we could. I usually don't roll ads in the middle of our videos. If you do see a video in the middle of our ad, that means we don't have the monetization for that video. It got copyright claim. But I do that purposely because I don't like when people do stuff like that. So
anyways, guys, jump on the Patreon.
Yeah. So patreon.com/cinefanatics. It's just $5. Come join us for a watch along. You've got $5. Check the couch.
Come on, you got $5. Come on.
If you can afford to watch us, you can afford to. Yeah, no. Ugh, God, that was terrible. Anyways, so watch along is tonight here in about 27 minutes or so.
27 minutes. Y'all here first.
Wednesday the 27th is Ghostbusters trivia. Again, if you're at the $5 tier, you could join us for that as well. So Wednesday the 27th, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern as of right now. Come join us for that. And then this coming Friday, the 15th, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, will be the marquee. We're tier ranking MCU villains live. So that should be a blast as well. So come join us for that. Otherwise, I think that is it. Again, no more live taglines. So we will see y'all in everything else we're doing. But make sure you follow us on social media at the Cinefanatics on Twitter and Instagram, TikTok, and here on YouTube, because I will make those community posts as well.
Feels kind of anticlimactic, but it's been a solid 4 years of learning how to do a live show almost every week. Obviously, like we had a couple weeks breaks here and there every year, but for the most part, started this in 2020. Now it's 2024. And I can't believe that 2020 is 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's why I said we're not doing away with the tagline completely. And I do believe it will come back to a live format. So that's why I'm not doing this with like a whole bunch of like pomp and circumstance, getting a whole bunch of guests in and saying like, good job, congratulations.
Let's show some clips.
Yeah, that's why
that's the end of channel type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, when we end the channel, if we end the channel, that we'll do it at that point, but not for this.
Stay tuned. This time next year, the channel will end and we'll have guests. Okay.
Anyways, so yeah.
I'm Matt Pat and I'm retiring. That's just a theory.
Cinefanatics theory.
You can follow him at RCA Reacts on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as youtube.com/@RCA Reacts.
And you can follow him over at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and twitch.tv/Chris Adams MLP.
Nailed it.
I can't do mine, but I can do yours perfectly fine. Like, that's just weird. Whatever.
Mine's easy.
Anyways, that's going to do it for the show tonight. Again, thank you to everyone who has not only watched this show tonight, but watched all of our other shows. Very much appreciate everyone's viewing. If you are watching this on a replay, let us know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions down below in the comments while you're down there, or anyone watching live. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Again, that we're going to make notifications on YouTube as well as to what's coming up, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we'll see you $5 patrons here in a little bit over on the Discord for the Patreon watch along. And yeah. So for one final time, until this inevitably comes back at some point, thank you for watching, and we will see y'all later.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
Why do you always got to sing your like high school graduation song?
To yesterday.
Laters.
Bye. Here's away from my eyes right now.